the start. 80 seconds.
Hi, I'm Neil and welcome to the Crosscast. It's season 9 and we're going to dive straight into the action. Hope Supercross series is done and dusted, although I have to say I didn't see much dust at all, and we're about to embark on the Three Peaks and the British National Trophy. So today in Cross Talk, we're going to look back on the Hope Supercross series, who were super, and there were some people that ended up cross. Check what I did there. And then in the last round, we're going to look forward to the Three Peaks and round 1 of the National Trophy. That's coming from its back to a traditional position, Derby. Now, I'm joined in the studio by Matt Payne and Zan Crease. It's great to be back, I have to say. And Zan, it looks like you've been really busy, actually, over the summer. But you know, what's it been looking like this year? Has it been gravel? Has it been road, mountain bike, time trialing, artistic gymnastics? What have you been up to, Zan?
I wish. Well, first, thanks all for having me back. But yeah, I've had a really great summer, kind of doing a little bit of everything, because I think that's, for me, what makes me enjoy the summer the most. So kind of social, doing some mountain bike riding, as I now live like on the South Downs Way, throwing a bit of the crit series, because I always love that and find it just goes really well with my cross racing, you know, hour full gas racing around town centre, perfect preparation for your cross season. And then throwing in those gravel events as well. Probably a little less of those this year than last year, but definitely picking those ones that I really enjoy, such as like Gritfest and the Gralloch. And yeah, just been having a really good time riding my bike, to be honest. And Matt, it's been months, I think, since we spoke, other than the few national series rounds that I've seen you commentating. What have you been up to?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I was going to say, it's not that long ago that we had the crits, but it's actually months ago, isn't it? It's quite scary how the summer seems to have flown by. Yeah, it's been crazy. I was on the BMX World Cup last weekend. Been really busy with that. I was in Switzerland for 2 weeks covering the World Mountain Bike Championships, so enduro, pump track, downhill, cross country, short track, cross country, Olympic. That was crazy. That was a crazy time in Switzerland. My wallet is now hurting from buying anything. It's like scary prices over there. I'm never complaining ever about paying £5 for a bottle of Coke anywhere ever again, because that's cheap compared to what I paid over there. It's then all the crits. Not a lot of riding. I think probably since I saw you, Zan, at the crits, that was the start of the silly season. And since then, I have literally not ridden a bike for 3 months. I've not even pulled it out of the garage. It's sat there, and I've walked past it a couple of times and gone, I miss you. And then kind of not done anything. So, but no, it has been crazy busy. I was reflecting on it earlier that now's the time when it's all going to go quiet and it's all going to be relatively tranquil. And then we had the BMX weekend where commentators was coming to the Full Speed Event studios, and we covered those. And then to add it all, we added another addition, a 4-legged addition to the craziness that is the studios. So not just the big lunatic 35-kilo trail dog, but now joining Indiana, whose actual full name is Indiana Jones, we now have a mini Brittany Spaniel pointer cross called Lara Croft. So we now have Indy and Lara. And this puppy is, when I say this puppy is like this big, like tiny fur ball with teeth like razors. So basically it's going to grow up into this sort of gunslinging, real hardcore, grown-up modern version of the dog I've already got. So, yeah. So if things weren't crazy enough, yeah, I'm going to do that as well. So, yeah, all good fun. It's kind of been crazy, but I've spent most of my time trying to keep up with who's in which team, whether that's mountain bike team, road team, you on the road, of course, and then going into cyclocross season, I've been watching the transfer market going, yeah, okay, it's going to be mad. And then it sort of stalled, and then it's gone mad again, and then it's like, okay, this is entertaining. And then I had a conversation with somebody behind the scenes, and it was like, okay, there you go. So, San, I understand that you have new sponsors, because in the craziness that was Switzerland, I missed all of the announcements. Might also have something to do with
Aw.
the fact I've got no social media anymore, which is brilliant. Apart from I missed all your announcements.
Yeah, no, we've had a really, really exciting time over here. So, beginning of September, I managed to launch that we've set up my own team, which is OGT powered by USC. So, we've got backing of some really great British brands, which especially for me right now is the British national champ. Having British brands backing us is just really, really cool. Like, got a few other sponsors such as like Works and Hunt Bike Wheels had been working for, and a few more still in the pipeline. But it's just been a really exciting time because one of those things over the last year, we kind of sat down and was like, right, I really want to make this work. Like, I've kind of won gravel national champs and now won cyclocross national champs. And those Belgian teams are great, but like right now the market is so hard, and you've seen the Belgian teams getting smaller. So it's trying to like make that pathway for British riders, as at the moment we don't have any like professional teams or that many riders being paid to race cyclocross. So it's kind of paying our own way, setting it up. Like myself, kind of got those sponsors in, which is really cool. Hopefully in the next few years take on a few other riders to join us full time. But big dreams. But no, it's just been really cool and really exciting to see that set up, and actually to sit there and be like, okay, wow, I'm a professional cyclist now. Like in my cycling career, that's just not something I've had the chance for yet.
So Zad, tell us what's the name of the team, because I still haven't kind of got it rolling off the tongue yet.
Yeah, it is a bit of a mouthful, but it's OGT powered by USC. Obviously, having two sponsors where their names are three-letter words does make it a little bit more tricky, which is why we have the powered by in the middle, just to kind of help always OGT USC. It'd be a bit like, okay, what are we doing here? But no, they're both great. So OGT make these little flapjack bars, which are really great. And then USC make components such as handlebars and stems. And some people might, back from when they first started, have their like suspension stems and suspension seat posts, which is what they really used to be. And they're kind of really coming back. So no, they've been cool.
USC used to be, they've been around forever in my mind, making really
100%,
interesting components, and it was sort of one of those companies that were kind of doing just interesting stuff. I
had a tandem that we built around their seat pins once upon a time. Tandem with their aero seat pin about this long and super bladed with beautiful machine. Lovely. But we built the whole bikes and things around them. Basically, what size seat pin can you get? Right, let's make a bike around that. Their components were so cool. No, it's really good.
Yeah, and the OGT stuff. I'm not quite sure how I managed to, but I got a box of samples from them at one point. But they're very much on board with no packaging and that sort of thing, which is obviously that's what Gritty all about as well. So I kind of feel that we're very much we're very much on the same page as that. And are you getting on with the all the nutrition on your rides? Are we going to see them in the races?
I'm trying to work out if I can actually take one while racing. My only fear is like sometimes on a ride it's great because you can literally just use your bottle and wash it off and it's perfect. Whether I'm willing to brave it for the dry cross race is not a problem, fine. If you looked at Saturday's race where it's muddy and disgusting, not sure they're going to stand up there, but I'm willing to test it out and give it a go. Yeah,
it's because you basically eat the packaging. It's like an apple, isn't it? You kind of it works very, very well in your pocket. Probably less so when that pocket's full of mud.
Jet blasted with grit. I love it, Neil. What have you been up to over the summer?
Lots of bits and bobs. Mountain biking has been really good this summer. Actually, I've really enjoyed it. My race season for the national series, I got an injury just before the first round, and it's funny, if you are injured and you're out for 2 rounds, then the whole series isn't. It's kind of scuppered, really, in terms of overall, which is really what my focus is on. But having said that, I just wasn't in a particularly good, a good combination of everything being all right, all coming together. It just kind of I didn't kind of gel for injury and an injury in life, basically. But then came back and got a very, very rare win in the pairs competition at Dirty Knocker, which is a race that I've been to several times. It's a endurance, so up to 6 hours. I did it in the pairs, and actually taking the win, hands in the air job, is not something that happens to me very often. And so it was it was great. And pairs with Lotta, daughter Lotta, in the mixed pairs competition. So I was thinking it's been probably more than 10 years since I had that sort of. That was amazing. So and it was really nice to come back. But then probably the most enjoyable race I did this summer was actually Marathon Champs. I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. And I did it mainly as a preparation for the Three Peaks that we'll come on to, just to get that longer, really long duration, so I could experiment with a few bits and pieces on that, fueling and that sort of thing. So I really enjoyed it, and it was quite, I was amused. The course was quite varied, and it was varied enough so everyone had something to not like about the course. So it was really interesting, because there was like, oh, I don't like it because of this, I don't like it because of that, I don't like it because of the other. But actually, all of those bits were sort of 5 minutes of your couple of hour lap.
But that isn't always the way. What I want to know, Neil, given that you were experimenting, have you been experimenting with your custom multi-tool again, trying to remove as many pieces? Have you managed to get it down in weight any further than you had before, or has it actually got more added to it?
I haven't done the surgery on it yet this year, but I'm about to. It's one of my jobs for this week. But yeah, for those who who didn't hear last year, I realised that this was for the Three Peaks. I thought, how can I lose every gram that's unnecessary? And I realised I managed to get rid of. It was about 400 grams, I think, in total. But just by looking at stuff that was, why on earth am I taking that? And I realised that literally half of the parts of my multi-tool, multi-tools are quite heavy. I didn't actually have that bolt or that screw on the bike. So what's the point of taking a tool with me with all of these screws that it won't fit? I don't need them. I've got nothing to fit them onto. So it doesn't matter what happened, it wouldn't be right, because they simply don't exist. So I took it to bits and rebuilt it. And then I also did change a few which were the wrong head, just because it started to become a bit of a challenge. But this year, I'm feeling, I've done one race so far, which I felt, I hope it wasn't the peak of my season, but I was feeling great at it. I absolutely loved it. It was a really good start to the season, so I was so delighted with that, I have to say. So I'm feeling in pretty good shape at the moment, and ready for the peaks, and then see how it goes.
It's a real different sort of race, isn't it, the marathon? I was lucky enough to see and talk to a few of the riders at the mountain bike marathon at the World Championships, and that was just an absolute epic with people. If anyone was complaining, did you have a 45-minute bike carry?
I know.
In the marathon champs in the UK, but in the Worlds there was it was like literally throw the bike on your shoulder, and that. There's always the bit which somebody doesn't like on the course, but I can't believe that anybody actually really enjoyed that bit.
Well, we were one of Gritty Race Team was selected for the elite marathon champs, and came in really well. I think they were the second British rider. So this was Nikki Healy, and I was speaking to her afterwards. She said, the funny thing is, she felt absolutely fine, felt totally fresh at the end. It was, and it was just one of those
stroll halfway round.
Yeah, it was. Whereas it was that was massive, absolutely huge as an event. I think she was like 10 hours or something. It was absolutely huge.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it was like crazy hours, wasn't it?
Had that kind of hiker bike section in the middle. Very Three Peaks session. I keep trying to persuade Nikki to come and do the Three Peaks. The thing is, if she came, I can't believe that Nikki's
not riding or hasn't ridden the Three Peaks. She would be. It's just like she's just got the right attitude for the peaks as well, I think.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really, some people you just think, no, don't bother. And some people you think, oh, I can't believe you haven't. Why not? Well, you need to be there. And yeah, you have to try harder. Must try harder in persuading, Neil.
Yeah, I know.
Like
I know. I must try harder.
Yeah.
So we're this year, as some of you will already see on the Crosscast, we are going video as well. So we're kind of putting up on YouTube, and if this makes the edit, then it must have been successful. So
if it doesn't make the edit, well, you know what? You can't see what we're doing right now, so it doesn't really matter.
So it's a bit of an experiment. We'll see how it goes, and we'll see how it moves on for the rest of the season. So for this season ahead, as always, we'll focus on the national trophies, we'll focus on the World Cups, and then there's a few bits and pieces in between as well that are sort of special events that are pretty important. But of course, we keep our eye on the other racing that is going on. Zan, do you know yet what your plan is for this year? Are you going to try to get a decent place in absolutely every series?
I have an idea of what my plan is. Obviously, everything is always flexible. So my focus this year is probably going to be the World Cup series. What I've normally had the issue of is not knowing if I'd be selected. Whereas this year, because I'm in the top 50 of the world rankings, I at least know as long as I maintain my results, I'm pretty much guaranteed entry this year, which has meant I can actually now focus on going, okay, I know I can do all the World Cups, so let's go do all the World Cups. Saying that my plan is to skip Cabras, because as much as I love it and I think it's such a great venue and it looked like it had so much potential last year, it looks like the opposite of a course that I would do well on. So I thought I'm going to have to take a week off at some point in the series, and that just seems like the perfect week for me to actually have a chill week. And then around that, I'll be doing the national trophies where I can, because this year I think it's really important that I do try and race in the UK and actually bring the stripes to the UK. And then obviously it will then be picking the races in Belgium around that work, or the races in Europe that I can do while doing the World Cup series. But again, it can all change at a heartbeat. Something can happen and it can be derailed. But for now, that's my plan.
Yeah. And is that Swedish series happening again this year?
It is, yes. And I'm actually going with a few other friends from the UK this year. So we'll have a few more UK riders out there in Sweden this year.
Oh, that sounds brilliant. Good stuff. Excellent. So we've already finished up actually our first block of the season. Chapter 1 has been started, and actually chapter 1, was it a preface? Was it chapter 1? I don't know. But first block of the season is done. It was the Hope Supercross series that came from Wyke, which is in Bradford. 4 international level races. 3 of them are C2s, 1 of them are C1. So C1 is a higher rated race with more UCI points. 1 of them was televised. And it all happened over 8 days, and it was proper cross weather. Certainly wasn't an early season, dusty mountain bike race or grass track race. So in terms of the results, we had Kine de Moya and Thomas Main taking the wins for in the elite men's competition, and in the elite women's competition, we had Laura Verdonschot. I thought you were going to say that your dog was named after Laura Verdonschot when you said your dog's name is Laura. But yeah, Laura was back again.
The dog was very nearly called Neff and Puck and a whole host of female cycling stars, but in the end, it was fairly self-determining by the attitude and the adventures the dog has already had. Let's put it that way. I'll leave it at that. The dog is still in one piece, just.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you want to take on a 35-kilo lunatic dog? No. This one.
So I was there for 3 of the races. I was there for 3 of the races, and then couldn't make round 1 because I was racing myself. Zan, I think you were there for 3 of the races as well. So I think you had a bit of an up and down. How would you describe the course this year? And then maybe you can tell us what your experience was.
Yeah, up and down is definitely how I would explain my series. But yeah, so the course this year, whereas previous years they've done like a few different venues, this year they were all at Wyke on the same course, which made it, we were actually, I think, riders very glad the weather did come, because we did kind of get free, I can't talk for the Sundays race, but to me it felt like three slightly different conditions. The Saturday, which was the first round, was fairly dry, pretty, typical summer September cross, not that slippy, not that bad. Wasn't file treads, but certainly wasn't muds. And that was, it had a lot of straights, but I feel like this year they've extended the course out. So there's a little football field and pitches to the side. And normally they've stuck to the main area around the cycle track. This year they opened it up to use this new field, which did kind of give us a few more off cambers, a few more banks. And to be honest, that became like a very deciding part of the course and a really good little technical feature. So I'm really glad they did use that, because I think it added a lot to the courses. So you kind of then had this kind of half that was really, really technical, slippy banks, a bit more up and down in elevation with it. And the other half, which had quite a few like long straights. You've obviously got the tarmac road section, the kind of more power bits, and the bit that I always found past the pits, which is kind of slightly uphill on really bumpy ground. It just takes everything out of you every lap. You're like, I'm going really slowly, but I'm trying really, really hard. And luckily, when I was speaking to the girls that I was practicing with, they were in agreement that that part was almost the worst part, because it was hard, slow, and slightly uphill, and normally into a headwind too, to be honest. But yeah, so 4 really good courses on that same one. But for me, unfortunately, like, I'd kind of gone, oh, this Hope Series is great. We've got a C1 in the UK. It's televised. This is a great race. Tapered into the weekend. So I didn't really ride my bike the week before the Hope Series. Got to Saturday, had a pretty decent start, led it from the start, and then just went backwards and backwards and backwards and backwards. And in my head, I was like, maybe I just went out too hard. Maybe I like blew myself up at the start. I was fine. I'll go really slowly for a lap and I'll ride myself back into it. Went really slowly for a lap and then kept getting slower. And I was like, okay, I think there's something not quite right with me here. And normally, like, your body quite well because you're racing week in, week out, you know how you feel. I had done one test race the week before, so I'm not quite sure yet how my body feels when I'm pushing myself at that level for a cross race. And yeah, the next day I was pretty much down and out. I spent the next 2 days pretty much entirely in bed. So I reckon with basically COVID, which you'd think, oh, we're in 2025, COVID's long gone now, but apparently that's when I've managed to catch it. And I think having that week off before, I hadn't given my body the chance to realise, because I was being really gentle on myself. And like, luckily the symptoms weren't that bad at all. But thankfully, kind of felt good Tuesday, was testing negative. So I was like, you know what, I can give Wednesday a go. My coach was like, don't go off like you normally do. Be sensible if you're going to race. And I was like, oh. Because for anyone who's known me or seen my races, normally I will go pretty hell for leather at the start of a race. So yeah, kind of rode into it, came 8th, was like, yeah, you know what? Probably not where I want to be, definitely not after last season, but I was just happy to be back on my bike. And then I think the final round, for me anyway, obviously, what I think is quite interesting about the Hope Series this year is if you look at the results, particularly for the women's, the top 10 is completely different at every round. First place obviously stayed the same every single time. But other than that, the riders are so chop and changey. Like, it's actually quite exciting to me, because I think that shows there are so many riders that have potential to do really well this season. But yeah, for me, final round, I was back fighting for the podium and I felt, okay, this is where I want to be. And kind of gave me that like little boost that actually I'm on my way back up. But as I say, the field is looking really, really good for this season.
Yeah, and that race, the last race, I'm going to give you. It was amazing to watch for the race. But to be honest, the whole race was really interesting to watch. I think Esther Wong had the lead early on, and then when Laura Verdonschot decided, okay, now I'm going to go. Laura, she got 30 seconds and kept it, but behind there was Esther Wong, Hope Inglis, and yourself, and all three of you seemed to be having energy and then fading back a bit. Esther looked like she'd gone too much too hard. I thought, oh no, this is going to be absolute tragedy with 2 laps to go. She's going to absolutely blow and finish about 10th or something. But no, she then dug deep and deep and deep, and was coming through, and then kicked, and then you did, and your different riding styles. I'll call it riding styles. That's me. To be honest, that's me being a little bit kind to the others. I think your experience really, really showed that on some of those sections where it was sort of, you just relax, let the bike do it, and just didn't use any energy over a few short sections where I was watching from. Whereas the others were really fighting the bike to kind of get the power through on some of the sections rather than letting it roll. And I just thought this looks like someone who's raced so many times or in that type of field. So I think there was a skills thing going on there. And then that last half a lap, or in fact the whole last couple of laps, the 3 of you were together, and I absolutely called it correctly about 10 times. I was convinced it's going to be Esther. No, Esther's going to get dropped. It's going to be Hope. No, Zan is sitting back. She's ready to go. She's got loads of energy there. She's been just waiting for a moment. And then, no, it's going to be Esther. No, it's going to be Hope. No, it's going to... And in the end, it was Hope. Inglis took second. Esther Wong took third. And Zan, you just missed out in fourth. But, it was really absolutely brilliant to watch. It was sort of Cross at its best in terms of head-to-head racing. It was superb. People going too hard, people recovering, not losing their head, digging deep. And then you got that really close finish. So yeah, it looked fantastic.
I've got a couple of questions because I was asked to be there and I couldn't. I couldn't go because it's just too many clashes. The calendar was booked up for that time of year. A long time before I was asked. So it was not in the habit of trying to drop people to go to races I wanted to go to, and I really wanted to be there. Just going back a little bit, was I correct in hearing you say there it was the same course for all 4 races?
Yes.
Why?
I mean, in all fairness to them, they had put up, the proper netting. So I do imagine
if it's a really good course, I get it, but 4, that's unusual.
Yeah, definitely unusual. And I do think, like I showed, like in previous years, that they have changed bits of the course. I think what it also led to is those that raced all 4 rounds, for example, like Hope, like you could see she progressed throughout. I think she learned the course and got more comfortable and a lot better on the course. But yeah, I think a lot of us were going, maybe we just expected some changes. I think it's because of the infrastructure, and possibly it's down to the volunteering hours and like the manpower it takes to make those edits to the course. I imagine that has played some part in it, that leaving the same course up 4 times is so much easier than trying to jig it about.
100%. Given the you got to say, big kudos to anybody who puts a race on full stop, particularly in today's economic climate, lack of volunteers climate. I'm racing for me and not putting anything back in the sport climate, which seems to be becoming more and more prevalent. And for me, that is a big win straight away as an organizer. You don't change the course; you leave the same course in place. You've saved yourself a bucket load of hours because it's not a professional event, and UK sport at the moment and cycle sport generally is not in a great place in terms of numbers and participation numbers, and if cyclocross is to buck that trend, it needs to support the race organisers and the volunteers who give up their time for no reward, and put in hours and hours and hours as volunteers into something that is rewarding everybody else but them almost. And the only reward is the joy of having put on a great event. But there's a limit, I guess, to how much you can do that as a person. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to say, total kudos to the organisers, with Paul Oldham and Ian and the Hope, especially the amount of investment. Quite apart from the hours, the cash was to get it televised is huge, absolutely huge. We talked about it on a show last year, and the volunteers there all the way through. So total respect to them, and Shibden, they do a lot they do a lot of, they're keeping off-road racing going in some respects. If you imagine all of their events disappeared, there's a lot of events every year. So total kudos to them, and I think that I hope that they're getting the kind of the payback that they need in terms of keeping it going. I mean, it is a total fair point about, could the course be different? I know that they've got plans to put in other features in the future. Plans and seeing the plans come to something are two different things. But I just hope that they're able to. And it was well infrastructured where it was. So yeah, I totally get it. I think the course maybe could have gone differently. I don't know if it would have worked the opposite way around. There were things like that could have been done. But having said that, I think people got a course that looked like it brought in good racing all the way through the field.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's balancing what Hope are getting out of this, and we know for decades and decades, Hope have supported sport across the UK, financially, materially, morally, everything. They've put so much into it, and the teaming up with the gang at Shibden, it's just a great partnership. What's always worrying is that this is the one, it's the one beacon almost. It's the biggest beacon we have, that we've got a successful promotion, and it would only take one of those people to go, do you know what, I've done my share, and we would be, like you said, Neil, in a bad place. If Shibden weren't there, or if Hope weren't there, we'd be in a very bad place with racing off-road, and the model that is there in the UK of volunteers giving up all their time for not a lot, the governing body at the top with paid officials, and in between there's nothing. You've got to wonder how sustainable that is at the moment when the numbers in every other discipline seem to be dropping. And that's the only revenue stream that, other than sponsorship, that's there.
But let's remember that we have got some very, very good people. We've got Falkirk coming up soon. Of course, Derby has been on the calendar forever. Falkirk, which has got amazing people who are so committed to it. It's another beacon of putting on big events.
Yeah, it's for me. It's that we've got these really big events, and they're all run by volunteers, and we've without them, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. Without volunteers, sport in the UK is dead. It wouldn't exist, because nobody's going to pay a professional rate. If you think every volunteer sat 4 days of Supercross, that's a week's worth of work, being paid a week's worth of money for it, for everybody who was sat on the car park, the registration desk, stood in a corner in the pouring rain, cleaning out the portaloos, directing people, fixing the tape, helping bring the course back in again, doing all the prep work, talking to the cast, all those things that all these organisers are doing, and doing such an amazing job. No one's going to pay the entry fee when we've got less, if it had to cover those at real cost. And it's only because we've got such an amazing volunteer network, and that's the people we need to support, for sure.
But I might have missed a couple of eggs. I just eyeballed this, but okay, listen to this then. These are the countries that I noticed who had raced. The nationalities: UK, Belgium, Australia, Ireland, France, Czechia, Germany, Norway, Sweden, Italy, Switzerland, Denmark, Netherlands. I totted those up by just going through the lists. That's so impressive. Yeah, we've got what?
That's a brilliant list.
12 lists,
nations,
12 countries, something like that. Yeah. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. So really, really impressed to see that. So out of those, the rides, Zan, for you, were there any riders who you thought, this is someone who's clearly on and up at the moment? They're coming into the season looking really good, or maybe even this is, they've gone up a league?
I mean, there's obviously a few riders in there. I think first off for me, like one of the races I always watch is the junior women's race because I love seeing the girls coming through the spot. Obviously, what the junior boys come through to. I guess as a woman myself, like my interest naturally falls to seeing the ones I'm going to be racing in the few years. I really don't think it was a surprise to anyone that Peggy Knox came up and absolutely dominated. If anyone been following her from her under 16 ranks, even her races out she was doing in Belgium. But also seeing, because Isla Patterson, I raced her the week before at Clanfield, and to be honest, she fought me into those first few corners and hung onto my wheel for the first few minutes of the race. I was like, fair play to you. I'm interested to see how you do. And fair play, I think she came second on. I think she might come second on both days.
Yeah,
so
she
again,
did race
a
all of
lot like you had. She'd done a lot of the crits as well. So
yeah.
she'd just been out and racing. I saw them. I was in Ilkley at the crit where we kicked off the crit season. I sort of walked around the car. Oh, hello, it's great to see you. Sort of like, this is fantastic, and just go, yeah, we fancy doing some crits, and we know it's going to be good for speed, so let's go have some fun racing. I think it's that joy of racing that propels Isla along, and I think that competition, and I think to a large degree Peggy Knox as well. I mean, we know she's phenomenally talented, but yeah, I think you've got two absolute class riders there who we expected Peggy to step up, but kind of Isla stepped up really well as well. Yeah, I'd agree with that 100%.
Yeah. And so in the junior men, a lot of the top names there were the ones we would have expected. But I think the person who stood out to me as taking another step forwards was Jacob Steed. He's a rider where on his day, and it isn't his day every day, but on his day, he's one of those defy the laws of physics type of riders where he kind of just keeps going. It's like, how come you're riding all this without slowing down anywhere, whereas everybody else is slowing down for those corners? Yeah, and he was really, really impressive, I thought, and so someone I think we could see doing incredibly well this year. Other two riders who I thought stepped up in terms of where they finished. The first was Esther Wong. She didn't race that much, I don't think, in the UK last year. She did, but had a very different type of season. But boy, she was quick. She was really, really good.
She's been really coming though for the last few seasons, hasn't she, Neil? And you've seen her in the crit, sitting on the local circuits, going really, really well. And I think she's like, for me, like Jacob Steed in a lot of ways. We've seen them progress through the sort of the under 14, under 16 races, knocking on the door and on a good day being there, and then they just make it click. And they've gone past that stage where we see riders go by the wayside as well, where a lot of the younger riders don't make it then that next step up. And Wong and Steed have done that. They've not over raced. They've not done too much. They've not got injured. They've not damaged themselves, and they've not lost motivation. And those two, I think, it's great to hear they had that standout, and to see they had that standout ride. And I think, both. Would anybody be surprised to see both of those as professional riders? No, I certainly wouldn't. They're two riders that I could very easily see in the professional ranks for with a long career, because they've kept going right the way from under 12, under 14, right through for sure.
And then my final rider who I had on my list of people who stood out was Fionn Gilbert and Fionn Drake, depending on which set of list of names you were looking at. So Fionn,
okay.
Well, now Fionn is a Fionn Drake. She was riding so well. I think she did 2 of the rounds.
She did the first 2. I think she came third at round 1 and second at the C1. I mean, I wish I could say her results were a surprise, but looking at her gravel season, she was very close to winning some of the UCI gravel races. She's come on so much in the last 12 months. In all fairness, I was looking at her going, I think you're going to do very well when we got to the cross season. And surprise, surprise, she did. I think, unfortunately, like me, she was ill for the second 2 rounds, skipped those for that reason. But yeah, I definitely think she's going to be one to watch, and it'll be very interesting to see how she goes when we get further into the cross season.
That family's got such great genetics.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you got Hohen Gilbert, you got Eilish Gilbert, both who were so strong on the national mountain bike scene, and Eilish still riding strongly at the top level. New family for Hohen, and just when you think, oh, maybe they're just going to take a little step back, no, Fionn comes along and just like absolutely comes in, and it's boom, right? Well, anything you can do, I'm going to come along and have a go and do, and to some degree, at the moment, he's a rider of the Gilberts, getting the results, but no surprises, like you said, for after the gravel season. It's definitely the World Gravel Champs is coming up, and I was asked for my dark horse picks, and she was one of them. Definitely.
I think that's a solid choice.
Yeah, because I think when it comes to that kind of race, you know that she's going to be gunning for it, and it's just like, yes, definitely a chance pick. There was a TV director actually who asked me that, and I was like, keep an eye on. There is one of those, that's for sure. Yeah, I think definitely a good rider, and great to see that we're in amongst all these international riders that UK-based riders are actually able to not only compete but also to shine, and we can really spotlight them, because just like you've done, it's part of that career trajectory. They need that exposure, and they should be getting it, because they're riding really, really well, and that trajectory for all those riders is constantly at the moment upwards.
Yep. And at that, let's look forward. So let's enter the Laatste Ronde. So in the last round, we move into our last lap of the show, which can sometimes take a while. We're going to look ahead at what's coming up over the next few weeks. So just taking them in chronological order, we've got one of the big races for me. The Three Peaks is coming up in a few days' time.
The official start, I'm going to say this now, the official start of the cyclocross season. I think I've been thinking about what you said earlier in the show here, Neil. It's taken me a little while. I'm still feeling a little bit dazed and confused post mountain bikes. I think everything is a prologue until we reach Three Peaks time. I don't care how big it is. Even if they put the World Championships before the Three Peaks, it's still a prologue to the season. The Three Peaks is the official start of the cyclocross season.
Yeah. And it's the 61st Three Peaks. I mean,
it's brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, that's longer than I've been alive. And Zan. And even Matt.
And me, careful.
So,
I know it's a hard paper out, but
So it was it's an awesome race. If you're not familiar with Three Peaks, it's unlike any other cyclocross race. It's you effectively ride up 3 Yorkshire mountains. Ride up is... I was
going to say, I don't think it's riding up anything. There's a lot of walking.
Depending on the weather, it's not rideable going up. So it's completely unsuitable for riding your bike going up those. But they're iconic hills. And then you get to the top, and then it then becomes difficult in a completely different way, because you then got to get back down again. And they're pretty difficult to get down if you're on a mountain bike, let alone on a bike with skinny tires and no suspension. And then you do it again, and then you do it again. And then there is the fourth peak as well, which I think is the hardest of the lot. So the fourth peak is on the road between the bottom of Pen-y-Ghent and Hailworth Bridge. It's this climb on the road, and it is
I know what you mean.
Most painful. It's the only you see people being pushed over that every year by teammates or people they've buddied up with on the course, because their legs are so cramped at that point. So that fourth peak is...
I quite like your description there, Neil, but I maybe would go with a different one. That the Three Peaks is it's a combination of masochistic riding on extreme terrain with totally unsuitable equipment, generally in the most unsuitable of weathers to go out on top of the fells, in an area that is renowned for being not only scenically beautiful, but also incredibly desolate when the weather changes. Combining a sense where you don't want to carry anything like a heavy multi-tool or a bike or ride, and then going into a downhill descent that a downhiller would think would be a great thing, and then or do it all, achieve it, and then realise that you just become part of history in doing it. And that actually is what the Three Peaks is. It's a combination of masochism, elation, and sheer terror, all in one.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's and it's unique in how it is, what it is, how long it's been going. I think, and that's one of the reasons for me why it's whilst it's so different to any other cyclocross that's out there, it is the start of the cyclocross season for sure.
Yeah, and for many people, it's the highlight of the season as well. There's something special about it. It's so I've done it several times before. This will be my 7th if I finish it. I've always finished in the past, although infamously one of them, well, I don't know when it was well over 10 years ago. I probably shouldn't have finished, to be honest. Probably wasn't a good shout, wasn't a good choice to not finish, to carry on. But I did finish it. It was, that was the year, people. That was the flooding year. And so, but this year we've got such an amazing start list. I think it's one of the most competitive in a long time, actually, because there's a lot of people coming for the first time and who could win it as first timers.
It's one of those races where we had a period where basically you went, is it going to be Paul, Oldham, Rob Jebb, anyone else? No. And there was a long period where that was going to be it, and that kind of dominated the three-peat narrative in both the men's and women's race, because it was always overshadowed by, and I'm not taking anything away from the amazing rider that Rob Jebb is and Paul Oldham is and Nick Craig in that sort of, you could throw him into the mix if you wanted the podium, but now with the riders that are coming in, plus you've got a lot of these riders, like Rob Jebb, it's still, would you ever discount Rob Jebb from a race that he entered in anything, even just running for the bus? No, it's not going to happen. And yet you look at the race for us in the men's and the women's, and I think it's teed up to be one of an absolute classic with a lot of people. It just needs to go right. And that's the one thing I didn't mention. Oh, and you need the enough luck to win at a casino, basically. On the way through the Three Peaks description, because you need the luck as well, and you need that lucky day. I mean, we only need to look back to last year, and that result could have been very different if things had turned out differently. Just different luck on the hill.
Yeah. So 3 years ago was it? Giles Drake went there to win it, and he just didn't have the luck on the hill. The following year, everything went perfectly, and he won it. Last year, Giles surprised himself because it didn't go particularly well, I don't think, but he still won it. Whereas Jensen Young, who was my pick last year, he
I was kind of alluding to that.
He went there to win it on his first attempt, and then he didn't have the luck. It just didn't fall his way, and he came second. And Giles Drake was very gracious in sort of acknowledging that, to be honest, at the finish. But they're both back this year. I really don't know how they're going to do. Giles, I know the Hope Supercross is a very, very different event with a completely different type of rider, but he wasn't at the front of those last week. I was surprised to see that Fionn Drake isn't riding the Three Peaks. So I was a bit disappointed about that, I must admit, because I thought, that would be an amazing. Could we get poetry on this?
Yeah, but I think if you've raced the gravel season, the whole gravel season, you've got a shot. And the world's coming up.
Yeah, I think she's got bigger goals.
I'm not bigger, different.
Well.
Not bigger. It's the Three Peaks. Nothing is bigger than the Three Peaks.
She might have very big cross goals in terms of.
Well, true indeed. Yeah. You don't know. I think I'm not disappointed, but I am. But that she's not there. But I also think the thing is that the way that the Three Peaks is you have time to race the Three Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
If the record runs of 37, 45, participations, these big numbers. I think now we live in a different world, and I think there's so much racing out there, and it's great to see people doing different racing, and there's time to come into the Three Peaks and race it. It's going to take something monumental to stop the Three Peaks from happening. It has happened on occasion, but we are talking serious stuff. We know it's not going to be. It's not just going to happen just because somebody just doesn't fancy getting out of bed the following morning. Three Peaks will be running, and there's a big groundswell of people who would just make that happen. So, for me, I think she's done the right thing there. But yeah, I can't wait to see when she does race it. I think. Look at Sam's face like, is that going to be the year that you're not going to do the 3 weeks, Sam?
Well, I always say I want to do it once.
It'd be a great battle between you and Fiona.
I don't think I have the leg size for it if she's turning up, because I saw the way she went up the stairs at the Hope series, and I was like, bye-bye. So, yeah, I think I might choose a year she doesn't. Although, as you say, it probably would be a good battle. I think I'd have the edge coming down, but I think she'd have she'd go a lot better uphill than I would. But no, for me personally, I say it's a race I'm going to do one year. I can't call myself a cross rider and never do the 3 peaks, but it's probably going to be the year I retire from cyclocross. So it might be a little while until I get there.
Well, the problem with that is that everybody seems to get the bug, and they do one, then maybe do another, and then your career will just be extended because you'll get the 3 peaks.
I'll become a 3 peaks rider.
You just keep on riding it. I think I'll have to keep riding the cross because I've ridden the train for the peaks anyway. You just keep on going. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I think the women's race field is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Though I'm actually looking forward to seeing Dealey Bennis at the peaks. She's the sort of rider I like to see. But Kate Eady, am I right in thinking Kate Eady's riding?
Well, she's on the start list.
Yeah, first time.
Yes, as much as we know anybody is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kate Eady is riding it for the first time, and you can't rule her out of any race.
Definitely
Kate Eady is World Masters champion in cyclocross. Quite apart from a race between her and Helen Jackson, who are the same age category, would be quite interesting in itself. Helen, multiple
it's
3
incredible,
peaks.
Isn't it?
So you kind of got Kate, who is an amazing athlete, and Helen, who is could probably ride it with her eyes closed. She's done it so many times. That's going to be amazing to see. And then
don't do it, Helen. It's not worth it. Don't try it.
And then we've got Bryony Halcrow, who she's won it several times, who's going to be back. So I think it could be really interesting, the difference. With Helen Jackson, actually, by the way, I've looked at one of her Strava routes when I was away in the summer and picked her for a long gravel ride when I was in the lakes. It was great, so I just followed in Helen's footsteps on or tyre treads. So I think the women's race, there's a lot of people in there who could be at the front, but I don't think there's kind of a standout. We mentioned those obviously, but it's difficult to say, that's a surprise new rider who's coming in and is a standout. There is someone who's riding it for the first time, even though I think it's their 17th 3 peaks. So how could they do that? Well, just to give a shout out to Elsie Haygarth, who has been to
excellent
3 peaks. I think she's been to every single one since she was born, and
might have gotten one before she was born, for all we know.
That's true,
Yeah, could actually be
so-
like done the whole lot. It's possible.
And so it's actually going to see the bits
Wow.
that she's only seen from. She's been there many times, but she's finally old enough to do it. So Elsie and Dave have a very good chance, I think, in the parent-daughter competition this year.
Dave rode the crits this season. Dave rode the National Crit Series this season. It was great to see him there. I watched some of the videos and absolutely, I was going to say wet myself with laughter, but it was pretty close, to be fair. It's like it's just hysterical. These comments about about it. Elsie, good luck.
Yeah,
really, really, truly good luck. We talk about people who've helped the sport, and done loads, and already she has. We've seen her putting on that. When the national trophy has been there up there, neck of the woods, and the national champs. Elsie's been there, mucking in with everybody since the year dot, basically, or her year dot, which is not ours.
Last year, myself and Lotta got on the podium. We were second in the parent-daughter competition. So was. It was amazing. To get a podium of any type at the Three Peaks is just phenomenal. So that was a very,
Neil,
very proud moment in my life.
Neil, are you and Lotta both riding this year?
Yep.
And Dave and Elsie are riding this year as well.
That's correct. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. So
excellent. Is there a little sideways you're going between the two pairs? Who's going to beat who?
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay.
I expect Dave
Excellent.
will beat. Bearing in mind, I expect that Dave will beat me by a significant amount. I don't know how well Elsie rides on that type of duration.
There's a bit of an age difference between Elsie and Lotta, isn't there? So
yeah, there is.
You can't imagine Elsie doesn't know like it back. You talk about great competitions. I think that's a great one.
Yeah, so it's going to. It's
going to three peaks all over.
It's all. I always think with the Three Peaks, so it's all. In some ways, the result is. A lot of it's already done by now. In the sense of you've done your training, it's too late. If you're not in good shape, it's finished. Now I'm really pleased. I'm in good shape at the moment for the Three Peaks, better than I've been for a long time. So so from that side, I'm still not expecting to be. Well, I don't know. I'd love to get a personal best, but I'm not expecting that. And apart from that, it's down to luck and the weather and how your fueling goes, and it's all those little bits and pieces, just those real subtleties of any endurance event where you just don't know what it's going to be like. Okay, let's look at some of the other
Three Peaks. Yeah, if you go to the Three Peaks and you see Neil, give him a shout, give him some support. He'll be racing in that gritty kit. Make sure you give him loads and loads of abuse. No, support on the climbs. And tell him he's looking super smooth on the way down. And don't distract him at the wrong moment, obviously. But loads and loads of support for Neil, please. I won't be there to give any kind of abuse or support. So please do give him loads and loads. To all the competitors, but particularly give Neil a shout on the way up there. All kudos to you, Neil.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
In awe race of your record so far, mate.
Men's race, I'm gonna, before we move on, so we mentioned Giles Drake, Jensen Young, but listen to this list of other people. We've got Innes McDonald for the first time, Lachlan Morton for the first time, Cameron Orr for the first time, Tom Cousins for the first time as well. I think it's maybe a bit more of a wild
Cousins'
card.
first time?
Yep, I believe so. Yeah. So that list, and of course Rob Jebb, who is probably if you take away Lachlan, Rob is older than any of those other added together. So Rob's done it
not
many
all of them
times.
added together, two of them.
If we came away from this and we had what would probably be the youngest ever winner in Innes McDonald, for example, I think we would go and say, wow, yeah, not a total surprise, but yeah, that's cool. Or Cameron Orr could do it.
Big.
You know, so I think there's some really, really interesting people who are going to be there this year. It may go to Giles Drake again. It may go to Jensen Young. In some ways, my heart says I think Jensen deserves to win it at some point, but I think he's going to still be riding it when he's my age, when I'm twice as old as he is. Yeah, so he's kind of one of those riders who just loves. And of course, he had his result in the Gravel Champs, so he's clearly on form for endurance events. Yeah. So that's 3 peaks. Check back to see how we get on, and I'll tell you what my plan is next time, because I'm not telling you now.
So anyone who wants to know what Neil's plan is, please do check out the previous episodes of the Crosscast. They're not on YouTube, but they are available on whatever podcast provider you have. Go on to the pre-show for previous years, then go on to the post-show to see what stake Neil's in after. This year, you'll be able to do it on video, as if all the editing works, as well as on the audioly. Listen to Neil's tales of suffering and woe.
If you remember from last year, what my conclusion from the 3 peaks was, my plan went perfectly, but it wasn't the perfect plan. So it was, everything went to plan, but I think the plan needed to be. It just wasn't the right one. Well, no, it wasn't the wrong one. Everything I wanted to achieve because of the plan was a success, but it needs a tweak. So, which I'm doing for this year. Anyway, let's move on to the following week, when we are going to round 1 of the National Trophy coming from Derby. Really excited. This is always an amazing race. It's a home race for, well, probably all of us to some extent. Zan, do you still think of it as a home race?
I do, because I felt there's 2 reasons. Like, obviously, I was with Impella for such a long time in my cycling career that I can never not see that as a kind of home. Obviously, my parents do still live there, so I'm kind of going back to where I used to live. So I have a home and a base there, and it is 15 minutes from where my parents lives. And again, that's the cycling clubs I grew up with. I imagine when I go to Derby, I mean, don't want me to jinx this now, a lot of the local clubs know me. I normally get a lot of support when I'm racing there, which is so lovely. And I'm hoping this year I have it as well, because I can't imagine anything nicer. And for me, it feels like I'm taking the stripes home this year racing Derby, which is just such a lovely feeling.
Yeah. I hope you're going to bring them to the Notts and Derby League as well.
I really hope to. I was really hoping, because I knew I'd have to do a race before the season started, and I was like, please be a Notts Derby on that weekend. And unfortunately there wasn't, which is why I ended up racing the Sussex League, because that's what is now my local league. So I was like, if I can't go to my old local league, I'll go to my new local league. And again, that was quite nice to go see people. And again, because most of my years recently I've not had chance to go to a local league, because pretty much once the international calendar starts, and with the Hope series so early in the year, especially when I was racing gravel nationals, gravel worlds, there wasn't time to squeeze in a local race. So I'd really love to go to Notts Derby. I'm not sure it'll fit the calendar. I think that would be on a case of if there was an injury, a non-selection, or a bit of a change in plan. But we can hope.
Hopefully, yeah. So the race at Derby, it's, we say the same every time, but it's always been true, which is that the course itself is a brilliant course for spectators. So if you're a listener but you're not a racer and you think, oh, should I go? It's a really great place to go and watch the racing. It's even got places undercover if the weather turns. You can see a lot of the course from a few vantage points, so you can actually see the racing and you can see it unfold during the day. So it's a really brilliant place, and there's always a really great atmosphere at Derby. Everything's kind of they know what they're doing there. And the course is always really good. So it varies a little bit year on year, and even when they say, "Oh, we've changed it completely," it's like, well, yeah, you've changed that little bit in the woods completely, which to you is a big change. So it's always a course I enjoy racing. It's very often.
I think that's a bit harsh, Mr. Mansfield. That's
harsh.
A bit. We've changed it completely. Well, you changed a little bit in the woods. I mean, this is somewhere that has in history had the biggest bridges, two bridges.
Oh, yeah,
when
I see what
everybody
you
had one. That's had, it had the long sandpit down on the long jump sandpit. We had the big sandpit. We had the year of the ditch that wasn't the ditch that was allowed to be that wasn't. We've got steps that have come in and on there. We've got the infamous banking. I think that, and we've got a change in the running to the finish. So no, I think that's not bad going. I get that you can't change the topography of what is a very small, compact course area.
No,
and you're kind of tweaking maybe rather than being revolutionary, but I'm not sure I'd be quite.
I meant it in a very positive way. A big, in the sense of like Zonhoven, you can change Zonhoven, but it's still the same course, and they have changed it a lot. But it's still got the same character.
I think it's the best spectator course. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'd agree with that. It is by far and away. If you're going to go to one national trophy, to try out going to a national trophy or watch a cyclocross race, I think Derby's an ideal one because you have all those things that you said. You've got food, you've got drink, you've got covered shelter. You get to see the racing on multiple occasions. It's quite easy to understand where the front of the race is as well and what's going on in the race because you don't get big gaps between when you see it. So it's quite a nice one to actually watch. And there's great atmosphere down by the bridges, by the pits, by the hurdles, by where the trade tents are. I think it's got a bit of everything in there. You can see the skill very obviously in some places if you're new and wondering what actually separates the riders. And some of the courses are too subtle for that. It's very, very good at demonstrating why a cross rider is really good. Even good just in that run into the finish. And before, I would say go. Yeah. Don't hesitate, just go.
Before I ask you the questions, Dan, just a little sneak preview for the next show. We'll probably say exactly the same thing next time, which is Falkirk is the place to go if you're going to watch. If you're close to Falkirk, that's also
if you didn't go to Derby.
So, so they're both brilliant places to watch. So, but Zan, thinking of it rather than spectator perspective, as a rider's perspective, where do you think the bits of the course that are the real game changers there, the bits where you can show your skills or show your power, or what are the most important bits of the course?
I mean, it really depends what they put in. As Matt was saying, like they do change the little elements they put in. So for the last 2 years, the bomb hole section has really been quite a pivotal bit in terms of attacks, what lines you can ride, that I shouldn't really be giving away game secrets or whatever you want to call them. But I find it's a great place to attack if you are really comfortable riding a bike. So that's definitely, to me, one of the key points of the course, if it's in this year. I haven't actually seen a course map or a tech guide yet, so I'm not sure. It normally comes out the week before the event. If not, you kind of have, when you come to it, there's normally like quite sweeping corners before you pass the pits. Then you go into the hurdles, and that camber section after the hurdles, again, that can be a great place to really kind of show off your skills, but also make those attacks, make those moves. If you've made the gap, that's where you can really stretch it out. And I think they're quite key points in the course. But it depends on the rider, because one of the things I think Derby does do really well is it has different sections, like the bits along kind of where the old track used to be. There's quite longer, straighter sections. So for the more powerful rider, that's where they really want to be making the effort and make the move. And you can kind of see the riders, whether they prefer those sections or the more technical sections, to where they kind of kick to the front. And it's really great because it's a course that is quite open, because riders of different strengths can be at the front. And yeah, I get really excited about Derby, I can't lie.
It showcases the skills, doesn't it, Zan? I think certainly. What you've got there is that showcase. It showcases you with the technical skills can go on one section. Somebody who's a real power rider goes on another section, and it's when you're watching, it's quite obvious. As a rider, you've got to race your skill. You've got to race your strengths there. But you'll soon find out where those weaknesses are as well.
Oh, you definitely will.
Yeah, so true. You're going to find out where your weaknesses are. It is a course where it's harder than it looks in some places, and I think you can feel really rubbish about yourself, I think, at Derby, because there are bits where everyone else makes it look so easy from your perspective, but actually if you watch it, you discover that loads of people are slipping out here and loads of people are making mistakes there. But we'll find out, won't we?
Is it the course with the most frustration? Is it that course that is the most frustrating? Because there's always some everybody comes away going, "Oh, I wish I'd have gone better on this bit." And there's always a bit where somebody goes, "I wish I'd gone better." And not all courses, not all course designers have that topography to play with, or the landowner that will let them go onto that bit which will just test whatever. Well, I think Derby does that, and I've seen so many people going away going, "Oh, it would have been so good, but I just got this little bit wrong." And if I had a quid for every time somebody had said that walking away from the finish line, we could probably fund bike racing in the UK for years.
Yeah. So we will find out, won't we? So we'll give it a full review in the next show, which will be in a couple of weeks' time. So we're going to wrap things up here. So first of all, thanks everyone for sticking with us over the years. It's been really good, but you know what I'm going to say, which is we do need to pay quite a lot of hosting fees and that sort of thing, software licenses and all that sort of thing. So any contribution that you could make would be absolutely amazing. The most important thing is that you enjoy the show, you keep coming back and you listen to it and tell your friends and share it and all of that business that people say on YouTube, if this is our first show that goes on there. But if you'd like to support us, you can go on to buymeacopy.com. And then you can buy some virtual coffees. And what that does is that then helps with paying some of the hosting fees. And I have to say, over the summer, every time you see these hosting fees go out and you think it's not even the cross season, I've still got to pay for it. So it's 12 months of the year. And
you can see, if you're just listening, you need to get onto YouTube, and I'm really hoping so. The pain in Neil's face right now when he said the money comes out and I have to keep paying it, but we don't have a show. Honestly,
I had exactly the same expression.
Real.
I had exactly the same expression on my face when the Zwift unpause after 3 months, and it was still August. That was what happened there. But we will see you next time. So, Zan, where can we find out more about you and your team and what you're up to?
So for anything me related, it's quite easy. If you can spell my name, it is just Zan Cruz pretty much on all socials. If you are looking for more team focused stuff, that'll be Zan Cruz Racing. Very creative, I know. But yeah, if you check those both out, that would be great. And Matt, where could we find you if you are still using those social media channels at all?
You can't. It's really easy. I am totally anonymous. I have literally shut down every social media account I have. No, seriously, I am going to be on Sundays on the My Wish Sunday Race Club, which is every Sunday's cycling esports show. We're there every single Sunday of the year. Going to be at the Cycling Esports World Championships, going to be at the Gravel World Championships, going to be also trying to have a think what else we're doing. Loads. Can't remember. Lost track. See me at Cross Race. Get in touch. But to be honest, instead of spending your time on social media looking for me, spend that time supporting a rider who needs the support, who, if you click on their profile, that's another click that will help them. I'd rather you did that. So don't bother looking at us, those of us that talk about it. Don't big up us. When we do our job right, actually, you don't think about us. You're thinking about the rider and the sport, and that's what it's about. So don't click on a commentator. Don't click on me. Don't search me. Click on a rider, click on Zan, click on a team like Gritty, and actually give them your support, because actually that's far more useful thing to do with your time.
Absolutely.
Neil, speaking of Gritty.
Yeah, so we've been out and about over the summer. We got so many products under development at the moment, and they're all kind of coming online very soon. So do follow Gritty Kit on the socials. You can find me personally at Crosscast Neil on pretty much everything. We've got some pretty big drops coming soon in terms of product, and we will be at Derby. We're going to be at Notts and Derby. We're going to be at Notts and Derby League on this coming Saturday, and then Derby National Trophy the following week. However, we're also online all the time, of course. So with that, we'll draw things to a close. Looking forward to seeing you next time, and we'll see you on the other side of the tape. Bye.